Hey, oh wow, wow. Well, this is so interesting. Anyway, since we're just starting up, I think I remember until yesterday, I had to jump through a couple of hoops to get to the Zoom here. Okay, meaning that in my browser, I need to click something, and then I have to click a couple of OKs, and then I get through to the Zoom. But I think what's happened in the last, well, at least in the last few operating system releases, is that it does have some machine learning component built into the OS itself. So meaning that there is, some kind of thing that processes, what I typically tend to do when I start these Zoom meetings. And it's noticed that, it's something that, it's a Zoom setting that the user wants, but they've not turned it on. So let's turn that on for them, because I don't remember doing it, but it's been turned on. So that is really cool. I think that's what's going on. It makes sense. I think for operating systems also to get more intelligent and do a better job helping us. Anyway, thanks all for showing up. Okay, and yeah, everybody switch on your cameras, and then we can get going. I am actually quite excited for this class because what did we do last class? We did that thing. Yeah, movie, fish moving through. Actually, how many of you remember that we did it? You know what? Actually, now that I remember. Oh yeah, Ben. Okay, a few people anyway. Yeah, okay. So actually, Stacy sent an email today. She's a new VPI. She sends a lot of ideas like this every now and then. Do students ever reflect on what they're learning? And, and I can't answer the question. Crazy, isn't it? Because I get feedback from you, but I don't know if you're. So I think I made these surveys are so cheap. So I made another one of these later on, not today. Later on at the before you leave class, I'll paste. Oh yeah, I'll paste it here, right? And before you leave class, put your thoughts in the survey. And then next class, for the first 5 minutes, we'll go over what everyone said. Okay, it'll be anonymous. And so I think what it says is you're just going to reflect on whatever you learned in this entire week. Okay, not just today, Tuesday and Thursday. This entire week is supposed to be on classes and objects. So you want to think about and also look at the book, look at the textbook. And the book has probably got like 80 pages devoted to objects at least. Yeah, the next couple of weeks, or this week and the next week. So you can look at that, all the contents there, and say how much of that have I actually understood. Yeah, and then that's your reflection. But you know what, the thing is, I don't want to make it don't you don't have to do all the homework. You just have to think, has it been worthwhile? Yeah, okay, because if I say you have to go and do this homework and find out if you actually learned something and then fill it in, the survey goes out the window right there. So you should just, at the end of class, you just think back and say, hey, have I learned something useful? Right, worth have 2 weeks worth of intellectual effort. Is it worth it or not? Okay, so that's the question you want to ask. And every single week, you need to ask yourself, and not just in my class, every single class, really. Because this email, I think, wasn't suggesting that computer science students do it. It was basically to every faculty member in the university, in the college. So I think whatever class you're doing, at the end of each week, because you're paying for it. Okay, if you guys, it's crazy, isn't it? Because if you go to places like places where people go and shop, like these Costco and things like that, people are always coming back with returns of things with minor defects, right? So they're always taking things back home and bringing it back, maybe because it's got a scratch on it or something like that. Minor defects, right? You pay, and the reason for that is, if I pay $500, I need $500 worth of something. Okay, but you should bring the same kind of same kind of thirst for quality or whatever it is to education, and say, well, I paid $150. Okay, so I'm not going to walk away with a shoddy education. I'm going to make sure that I get every single cent worth of it. Okay, so you got to keep asking, and if there's anything that you don't understand, you got to keep asking and say, I paid for it. Can you tell me what the hell is going on? Okay, so I think that should be your attitude. So that way you'll get to reflect more. and say, are you getting worth for your value for your money and time? Okay, even though $150 is absolutely nothing compared to your time. Your time is like the most valuable. That's why, if you spend like 2 hours on Fortnite, or 5 hours watching a Prime series or something like that, that's a huge amount of time gone from your life. We don't realize that until much later. But that is your most expensive, the most valuable commodity that you have to trade. So you just and put it to work for you rather than put that to work for someone else, right? That is my message anyway. Right. So what we'll do today, I think, is kind of a fun continuation of what we did last class. Eric, where's Eric? Eric, yeah, all right. So Eric posted the link. So I think what we'll do is we'll pick up the code that Eric posted, and we'll just fork it. And I actually looked at it. It's actually pretty cool, right? Let's run it a few times. And then and we'll see, right? We'll get some ideas. But the two things that I wanted to add anyway were the ability to read in a file which contains many frames, okay? Maybe 500 frames, 100 frames, something like that, right? One after another. Now, here's an engineering question. Before we get to implementing that, engineering question is, suppose you had to do that in a file, and you got to read a file, right? And so one of the strategies is you got to open up the file, okay, and read a frame into a frame, and when you got the whole frame, put it in a vector of frames. All right, now get the next frame. When you got a whole frame, put that in, push back that into a vector of frames, and you keep on stacking frames and getting frames one by one. Okay, but that is a general strategy, yes, because you open a file, get line until the end, and they're all lines of. But in what you have in there, it's an engineering question, actually, maybe extra credit for you guys, right? So what if you do it in a slightly different way than what we'll end up doing in class, that is, right? So, but this is a file that has many frames. So frame 1, and then frame 2, frame 3, frame 4. So you have to somehow come up with a way to distinguish from the stop of one frame to the beginning of the next frame. Yeah, okay. So it's one file. We'll do it one way, right? So if you don't have an answer of your own, we'll just do it, the default way, the way I think of when we get to coding. It's like super duper simple anyway, right? But if you do think of a way, that's a great way to do it, I think, right? Because, even if it's less efficient, it's a great way because, it's better than nothing. So I always say, have something better than nothing, then you can, yeah. Better than nothing means it's got to be correct, right? It's got to be correct. And so yeah, and then go from there to say, all right, can I improve that better? Can I improve that better? And then you get into a better and better solution. That is how most of the algorithms work. Okay, so in fact, even when you go on to study the more advanced algorithms, you find many of these algorithms, the most important thing is to get the intuition of whether it's correct or not. Okay, lots of people I've known, many of my students, right, in the past too, they get mired in the little details of our algorithms. Okay, that is not the way to understand algorithms at all. Okay, so lots of students I know in other colleges and universities, present algorithms, the mindset is that of micro detail, right? Understand what goes on at the algorithm. I think, in my opinion, you should try it. Maybe try it in many ways, but my way is to just first of all find out if you can get an intuition whether it's correct or not. Okay, because meaning that it has a path and it's guaranteed to be correct. Okay, that is the most important thing. And lots of people get lost in the detail because saying, all right, I'm going to make it faster and faster and faster, but you don't know if it's worth getting faster if it's wrong in the end. Yeah, so you got to first establish whether it's right. And I think well, talking about algorithms and all, just getting ahead of ourselves. But that's what we'll do. All right, so think about a good way to handle this problem. It's just an engineering problem. It's it's not directly related to computer science. But here's the thing. Okay, I think a long time ago, when I was a programmer meant something else. Okay, programmer meant software engineer. Okay, but I think today maybe there's two different kinds of programmers. Programmers who are just coders who've learned how to throw things together and get them to work, and then software engineers who are basically taking the skill of getting things to work and getting them to work in the most efficient way. Because even a caveman can build a house. Throw a lot of rocks together and get some rocks out of the way, and you handle in there. You're safe from the wild animals and the weather. Okay, but an engineer approaches the same task with a different mindset. So, all right, I know I can build myself a safe house, but can I build it with the least amount of materials, least effort, and in the most comfortable and beautiful way? Yeah, so that is the engineering mindset. And so, so that's why, as programmers and coders, I think, this is programmers and coders, self-taught, especially people who program in Python as a first language, without having gone through a formal CS education, they get stuff to work. But they get stuff to work like a caveman, meaning they've got to put things together, it works, right? But you don't care about the cost of these things, right? Well, I'm going to use a dictionary because it works. But a dictionary is, using a sledgehammer for driving a nail or something many times. Yeah, so you got to be very careful what the trade-offs and costs are. That comes with understanding the data structure, which is enforced on the student in C++, okay? So that is why I actually say that C++ is actually a very good first language to learn, right? You can learn a lot of languages afterwards, okay? But C++, I think, is a good language, unless you have someone very close to you, okay, who knows about data structures. And as you're learning about, computer science using BASIC or Python or Lisp, right, that person is there who can challenge you with the data structure issues, and so you get the feel for it, because otherwise you'll just get lost in the details and say, all right, I can put things together and it'll work. But that's not the computer science, the software engineering way of doing things. That's why there's a difference between software engineering and programming today, but really they're identical, right? Other than people just putting things together. All right, so so that's an engineering question for you to think about. So think about what are the different ways in which you can use a single file and give it to your function that's going to get line from the file, like we did before, okay? And it's going to stuff them into frames, but it has to somehow tell, well, I've been reading lines, but the next frame now begins, right? So that all of the lines up to now, previous frame, right? So it keeps getting frames in sequence so that it gets a vector of frames. That's a challenge, okay? So in my mind, it is like maybe 5 lines max, more than what we already had. Yeah, but it's worth thinking about. I don't know, maybe 10 lines, right? So, and it's absolutely your piece of cake to eat, okay? So I won't have any of it. We'll just pick someone from class like we did last time, and you'll code. And I think, right, after we have that work, hey, Isidore, is Chris around?
Yeah, he's around. He's around. Here, we're going to a library. We're there in like 5 minutes. He's joining like really soon.
Yeah. Okay, but yeah. When he logs into Canvas, generally he should be able to get
Yeah, no problem.
it. All right. By the way, Chris is here, and you guys, so today maybe, right? So you guys will get stuck with trying to develop versions of your programs or even movies, right? Is my plan for today is that after the program is done, let's say 10 minutes, okay, 10 or 15 minutes even, break, right? And during which you're going to produce your own movies, meaning that you're going to produce a file, let's say Jonah.txt, right? Or Jonah movie.txt, which has got 500 frames on it. And it's easy to make these frames, right? You make the first one, copy and paste, and then make some minor changes like shift a guy here and things like that. I actually have an idea in mind, okay? So that thing I posted has lots of poses for stickman doing, exercise positions. Okay, so we'll just grab them and make a movie out of that. I was thinking we'll go to YouTube and find some kind of an exercise video and play it in the background so that we have this beat, and then we'll have the animation going on screen with that beat. Okay, we'll try and get it going, even if it takes like a half hour. I think it'll be worth it because it's a lot of fun. Okay, so let's hope we get to that today. Hey, Caesar, welcome to class. Okay, you were absent last class, yes? Yeah, all right, okay. Try and make it to all of the classes, okay? So, because we're all covering like super important material for the final, essentially for everything from today onwards, okay? Even if you're doing 2B and 2C, what we're doing now is your foundation, how to build classes and how to build and get methods and attach them. Now, in order to understand that completely, you just need to understand what functions are, yeah? And it's also a review for all of you other guys, okay? So we have classes that we built last class. And then, we already understood what functions were. Now we took these functions and attached them to these classes so that every time you tell the compiler, I want an object of this class, you'll take this and stamp one out for you. And it's a real thing now. And that function is also attached to it. So you can say, hey, give me this object and this function that belongs to that object. Okay, you can actually call the function belonging to the object. Okay, so that is the general overview of what we went over, went over last class, and we're going to continue doing that today. Okay, no more of a revision. If any of you have questions about anything we did, hey Ian, welcome to class. Okay,
Hello.
thank you for switching on your camera. Justin, you also, right? Hey, and Milton, welcome back. Okay, welcome back to class. Angelos, you should also switch on your cameras. Okay. All right. Okay. So how about, right, unless you have a volunteer, okay, one of you guys volunteers to, because all of you have programmed. Yes, everybody, every one of you has programmed before, taken the shared the screen. Yeah, because now we can have second chance we could start giving second chances to other people too. Yeah, everybody. I think Ria, Rebecca, Jonah, Brian. Tell me if you haven't had a chance, okay? Because I remember, Brian, you had a chance to go to take the screen too. Yeah, Zach. Kira, you had a chance to take the screen too. Yeah, okay. Eric was just last class. Spencer, sure, yeah, I remember. Vivian, I actually don't remember. You had a chance to program?
I think I did once. I'm not really sure
All right,
either.
so let's say you're going to do today. Well, this is for first. You're the first choice for today. Okay. Raj, you've had a chance to program in class. Yeah.
Yeah, a couple
Okay.
times now.
Juliana. Yes. Okay. Milton, you haven't, because you just returned to class. Yeah.
Correct. Yes, I'm still getting myself caught up.
Okay, all right. So, Milton's just returned to class. You're gonna catch up, and every one of us here is going to help you catch up. But there is a class tutor, in case you didn't know, right? Hey, where's actually is Isidore here? He's also, oh, they're both gone to the library. Okay, so Chris and Isidore are going to join. Chris is our embedded class tutor. Okay, so what you would do is after class, just sync up with Chris. All of you, right? Any of you can do that. You can basically sync up with Chris and say, hey, Chris, I'm stuck on this problem. Can you help me? But ideally, you should just do it on the Reddit so that it helps other people too. Everybody, yeah? And Chris also knows to absolutely help out. So he's, in fact, he's being paid by the division. The division, the STEM Center is paying Chris to be an embedded tutor in this class, right? And he's on standby, and he's done all of the quests. So I have no qualms about, I don't know how much longer he's going to remain at Foothill. So if you're going to be doing 2B next quarter, I can get him as an embedded tutor in 2B2, I think, right? So because he's done it all the way up to red quests. So yeah, so Milton, you should absolutely make use of Chris, okay? Because right now we're all working on these projects. So Chris has a little bit of bandwidth. And all right, Ian, switch on your cameras. Krishav, I don't know. No, Akash said he had these privacy issues and seizure. All right. Okay. All right. Angelos, are you here? All right. So Angelos looks like he's taking a break. Okay.
Hello, Professor. I'm
You
here.
are here?
Yeah, I'm just on my
Okay.
phone. That's why I didn't turn on my camera.
No worries. Okay. All right. Hey, Krishav, are you here? All right. Okay. So how about Vivian? Unless one of the other guys wanted to take the screen. No. Yes. Okay. So Vivian, if you can share your screen, let's go to online GDB. And I know you're on, some of the later quests now. Are you using VS Code or online GDB still?
I'm still using online GDB.
Yeah, okay, let's just do online GDB.
Okay.
Oh, I have to do this, right? I have to, I thought I set it to Zoom. By the way, I figured out how, in Zoom, I figured out how to do a gallery mode recording. Hey, how come you were able to share the screen even before I said, allow multiple participants? That used to be an explicit thing that I needed to. So maybe Zoom is just reconfiguring itself somehow by default. All right, so I can just delete the whole thing. In fact, what we'll do is go to Reddit, go to the Reddit and go to the link that Eric posted. Yeah, Eric posted a link before, and let's just grab that. Did you get it? Did you get it, Vivian?
Yeah, I'm getting it right now. It's on another screen, so it's just not showing up.
Oh, I see. Okay. Great, great. Okay, and so and fork this so that we'll start with our own copy now. Right. Well, actually, let's get rid of the blue part. So we get more real estate on the screen. That. Yeah, there you go. That less than sign above. Yeah, there you go. Right. And also increase the size of the console below, and then let's hit run. I think there was I ran it once, and then there was this timing. And then I realized it was micro. Yeah, see, the timing, it's too fast. So let's go to that. Go to the while loop. Go to that while loop. And I think what we had there was yeah, further down where you have the sleep. You sleep. What does it say? 3,000 now? So that's actually 3,000 microseconds, right? So that's very 3,000 microseconds. I was thinking it was three, so that should really be 300,000. So it should be a 100,000. Make that 100,000. 100 times 1,000. So anytime. So here's a tip. Okay, general programming engineering tip maybe. Okay. When you have there's that animation looks slightly better, right? Because that is like 0.1 seconds. Each frame is like a tenth of a second, because 100,000. Now the tip is that if I have to write 100,000, I say 100 times 1,000, because the compiler will take care of making it 100,000. But for a fellow human programmer who looks at your code, it's a whole lot easier to say, well, that's 100,000. And then if they had to count there's 5 zeros. So yeah, as you all know, right? Say in on Reddit and other places, when people try to create names that they don't want to be cited, they'll use like LO0 interchangeably, so you can't really find out what the name is. Have to copy and paste. All right, is that okay? So we're going to take this now. This is our base. Okay, we're not going to do this. This is an animation, and we were just playing with this, right? So here's what we're going to do now. So if you fork the code, right? So you can increase the size of the code window. So let's do this, okay? And how about one of you, okay? One of you, well, I'll show you what to do, and then one of you take over. I think how about that, okay? And also today, Vivian, let's play it like last class, meaning that you're starting off the coding experience, but as we roll through class, after a little while, it's going to be like a relay, right? So you're going to say, hey, Zach, right? Why don't you take over, right? Or something like that. Maybe even someone could start a timer. Say every 5 minutes, you're going to you're going to nominate someone else. How about this, right? Well, why don't we try this today? Okay. So you're going to nominate someone. And hopefully that person is responsive, meaning you don't say, hey, Angela is all right, you're next, and then Angela is on the phone or something like that. And so you got to, if that's the case, then you got to say, oh, all right, I'm going to default to someone else, and Raj. So you every 5 minutes. How about this? Okay. How about this? Oh, gee, I don't know. Yeah, I got to say, I don't know how you can set up a timer to beep every 5 minutes. But if you can do that, maybe someone can, okay? Or when you say, all right, when you're done, you're going to say, Zach, take over, okay? And then you're going to do the orange button and fork over to Zach, right? Because I think that way we can make it more interesting. Otherwise, there's just a little bit of stuff today to cover. Important concepts, but we just need to make sure that they're spaced enough, okay? So the things that I want to cover today are, we're going to create this method that is going to be a static method, okay? A static method, I don't know, so some of you are Java programmers, okay? So in Java, for example, you have this class called math, okay? This is a math class. And then you go, you have a function called, you want to call it, sine of an angle or something like that, or a log of a number. Say math.log, math.sine, and so on, okay? Now, math is a class. So you don't really need an object of that class and then call a method of it. So in other words, so those methods that belong to the math class are what are called static methods, meaning they are methods they don't need an object. They just group together and they belong to this. Okay, that is what a static method is. Now, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense right now to maybe, right? But when we do this one today, it'll make a little bit more sense. But after you play with it for a while, you'll know what a static method is, okay? A static method really is not an object method at all. It is just related to the object and is thrown into the class to be part of a package, that's all. It's a global method, right? Except that it's inside of this class. Does that make sense? Okay, we're going to write one of those methods, and that method is going to be, so go into the frame class now, frame, okay? Into the code, right? All right. Yeah, I'll call out, right? I'll call out and say, Vivian, you got to hand over to someone, okay? And then you pick one person at random who's not gone before and say, all right, I'm going to share, can you pick up, okay? And everybody should be ready to pick up, meaning that everybody's got to be on the tip of our toes, right? So we got to be ready to take over at any time, yeah? Okay, and if you're absolutely not able to, right, you can say, yeah, okay, I want to pass this time, that's fine. Maybe, you're in the middle of eating something, yeah? Okay, so that's perfectly fine. Can someone point me to this repo? What is this repo? Hey, Milton, you got a question?
Yes,
Milton?
I was attempting to receive the code, and I heard you say that we were forking it. So I was asking if there was a repository that this code was being maintained in.
No. We're not doing Git, or we're not doing any repos here. Fork is basically, it's online GDB, by the way. It's just a web app. Okay, it's a web app that gives you a front for creating projects, right? And it's like simple projects. You're not going to build a massive project here, right? Like the project we're doing in class. And so you can have like 5 or 6, C++ files and some data files, right? And then you can share it with someone else. And when they get it, they can see your project in read-only mode. But if they make a change to it, it is automatically forked. But they give you a button there. The button is called fork. Okay, there's a button called fork here. Oh yeah, right now there isn't, because it's, this is the source code. Vivian is actually working on the source code, but when she shares a link on Reddit and you click on it, you can run it and you can see it, but you can't make any changes. But if you want to make any changes, you hit the fork button, okay? And essentially that's what it does, right? It probably maintains an internal Git somewhere, and it'll clone it and then give it your, and it's all hidden from you. That's the beauty of it, yeah? And so all of these web apps out there do that for you. In fact, even Xcode or VS Code, for example, right? I think there are settings. If you go into the settings and say, I'm going to use Git or in my GitHub or something like that, you don't have to worry after that about saying, oh, Git clone this, or, fork, oh, I want to merge, right? Even merging is a painful thing, right? I don't know. So if once you manage, even software engineers, ideally, they don't want to be merging at all. Okay, ideally they say, all right, if they have a really good group of software engineers working for you, right, they kind of coordinate things so that one person is doing something and they don't merge and they don't have conflicts like that. So merging is a real pain. But even that, Xcode and all these other tools, VS Code, they make it simple for you, so you don't need to know these details. And meaning that it frees us as programmers to think about the task rather than have to worry about the detail. Yeah, so you can be more creative and more expressive without having to worry about the nitty-gritty of it. So that's a general overview of what we've been doing all along. Okay, for the first 6 weeks, we've been using online GDB, and we're going to keep pushing it to the limit. Okay, maybe even next week we'll try online GDB for a little while. Okay, and anyone should feel free to use VS Code or Xcode if they want to. In fact, this program, after it's done, what we'll do is the person that they hand over to, ideally is a Mac person, will take it and run it in a Mac terminal and run it on the command line too, right? It's like super useful skill to have. Just getting comfortable with the command line. Lots of people think that, I can be a programmer, but I just be GUI all the time. No, you can be a user of a computer, right? So, and use just GUIs. Because even many of the IDEs just let you do GUI stuff. But you have to get a feel for the command line, okay? And you have to get a feel for saying, well, I have a GUI, but the GUI is actually doing the command line behind the scenes for me. You got to know the Wizard of Oz. What is it? The man behind the curtain, right? You got to know the man behind the curtain. After that, it doesn't matter if there's, oh, all right, I'd like to have the curtain, but I know there's a man behind it. So that is what I mean. And it's simple. And a lot of people skip that step. So I'll take you to the, some of the stuff today. I know some people said, less terminal stuff, but I think this is important. If I was teaching you Java, for example, right, or Python even, or maybe Python, right, I wouldn't bother teaching you about the or emphasizing the command line, or even the argc argv part of it in the C++. But because you're C++ programmers, okay, it's different. You got to know, I think, the details of it, okay? Essentially, because that'll also make you much stronger Python programmers or any other language programmers. So that is my take on it. Yeah, you're welcome to, get more opinions and get a feel for what's going on. All right, so here is what we're going to do. All right, so line 28, line 28. So that link that Vivian shared, or Eric shared, you can click on it, Milton, and then if you fork that, you'll get what Vivian is doing too, right? So on the next line, we're going to say, yeah, we'll return the number of frames. Okay, right. Size t, load frame. Oh no, not frame from file. It's after frame. We say frame sequence from file. Frame sequence from file. Yeah. All right, so this is the part that you guys are going to complete, and I'll help you with it if you get stuck. But it's yeah, same parameters as the other one. Say standard string file name. Is everybody okay with this so far? Yeah. No, not Y. No, not size t. No. A load frame sequence from file. It's got to say a standard string file name. I thought that's what you started typing out. How did it change to this all of a sudden? Isn't this what you started typing out, Vivian?
Yeah, sorry. I thought you meant the parameters from the one above, not the.
No. This is what I meant. Yeah, space file name. After string, you say space file name. Yeah, and then semicolon. All right, so you guys are going to implement this, and then one more function, right? One more function, and the next one you're going to say void show frame sequence at, and then this can have that other signature. Yeah. All right, so do this, and then I'll just a couple more things that I wanted. Sequence. Size. Now, there's one more parameter for show frame sequence at. The first parameter is going to be vector. No, the first parameter. Let's make it the first one. Oh, I see. No. I think you got it right. This is probably better. Yeah, vector. Because we had it like this for the other one, I think. Anyway, vector, angle within angle brackets, say frame, uppercase F. Yeah, and then space, and then ampersand there, put an ampersand, right? And then say FSEQ, right? That's a name we're giving to the frame sequence, FSEQ. Or FVec, call it FVec, F vector, right? You can even call it frame vector. Why we can just call it frame vector, frame underscore vector, frame underscore vec. Yeah. All right. So and then put a semicolon at the end. And we're going to do one more thing here. And you can discuss this if you want. So put the word const before the word vector. Okay. Put the word const. Why? And this is actually important for the exams also, and you'll find yourself doing this a lot. So I have a vector of frames. Maybe there's 5,000 frames in there. It's a vector. It's a large, 5,000 frames. Maybe it's like a megabyte in memory. So when I pass it to a function, I don't want to pass a copy of 5,000 of that megabyte. So I want to say here's a reference. So that reference is the ampersand. Right. So same thing that we dealt with before. This is a question that Raj raised in the forums and all. So the ampersand says, I have a vector of frames and I'm going to give it to you to show on screen. However, I don't want to give you a copy of the whole thing. I'll give you the original. So that ampersand says, I'll give you a reference to the original, not a copy. Is everybody clear with this so far? Yes? Okay. However, if I've given you the original, right? So I should, if I've given you the original, unless I trust you 100%, I'm a little worried, aren't I? Because you could change the original, yes? So how can I make my this new function or whatever it is, more amenable, more publicly available to everybody, regardless of whether I trust them or not? So that is a question, right? So the engineer's question is that I've made something here which could be useful to anyone on earth. However, I need to trust someone completely before I let them use it, because I'm going to give them the whole thing. Okay. So if that's the case, I know it works. However, I want to make it available to everybody in the world, right? C++ lets you do it. You know, there's a way to do it. And you say it's a const, but I'll make it available in an original format. Okay. So that's where the const, that's what the word const is. In Java, I think there's something called final. Okay. I remember, I don't know. It's a very long time since I programmed Java. I think there's a word called final. Okay. Final says it is the same as const in C++. It says, I'm giving you a parameter, but you can't change it, or something like that. Okay. So this is const is something like that. You say, I'm giving you the original, don't change it. So and you would see the ampersand and the const together a lot in C++, not here. In fact, you'll see that in quest number 6, 7. Yeah. In 8 even. You'll start seeing it in all of the quests from now on. Okay. Ampersand and const together. So, and it's and these are not available in other languages. So it's very C++ specific, but it's also very computer sciencey. So, so understanding this is like super important from the perspective of generally understanding what algorithms do, right? Because many times in algorithms, you pass entire data structures over and ask them to manipulate it, right? So you need to know exactly which parts the client is able to change, which parts the client is not able to change. And these qualifiers come, and it's not, and by saying that I'm going to impose the restrictions myself, that's the object-oriented way of doing this, saying I'm going to say const, meaning that anybody could use it, rather than saying I'm not going to say const, but only some people can use it. Does that make sense? Okay, so it's not really a constraint, it's opening it up to the whole world. By putting the constraints in place for everybody, you're opening it up to the whole world. Right, so you can look at it positively, right, and saying, okay, we're putting constraints on it, so, right? So we put constraints on it so that everybody can use it in exactly the same way, right? So I think that's you know, same like in our class too, yeah. So we make sure that everybody has to do all of the work, right? So we'll give you all of the accommodations, but you got to do all the work. All right, so these are the two things you got to do. If you want me to do this as the skeleton of these two functions, I'm happy to do that. Okay. Otherwise, I'm just happy to stand by and watch, or even not watch too. If you think, you know, I'm, you know, cramping your style, that's fine, because it'll be recorded. I'll watch it tomorrow. Maybe that's okay with me. I want you to try. Okay. So let's say the first one. So copy the first one, right? No, yeah, I forgot to do something. Okay. So these two methods don't require an object in particular, a specific object to work on, generally, right? Because you're saying, I'm calling this method and it's going to fill it, you know, a factor of frames. I'm calling this method and it's going to, right? So those kinds of methods are called static methods. So what we'll do is actually before the size t, right? Before the size t, say word static, right? Static, right? And then, oh yes, right? So both of these are static methods. So let's put a blank line above those, right? So what that means is that these are, you know, static methods. I think I got the syntax right. You know, it's yeah, string, okay. All right, so so I think this is okay, right? So you guys have got to implement that. And so, well, it's a signature for this. Okay, so how about we, all right, copy the first one, triple click on line 30. All right, after Vivian does this, we should pass over to, you know, pass this to someone else. So go to the end, go to the end. before the main, just above the main. Yeah, just above the main. Right. All right. So here, yeah, line 56. Line 56, hit enter. Now one more. Okay, pasted. All right, so this is the body where it's paste that thing that you had. Three clicks, yeah. Now, all right. So now go to the end. Unindent. Indent. Correct the indentation. Right. Go to the end. Remove the semicolon. And then space curly brace. Yeah. Enter. All right. Okay. So now we're going to do this. Now, hang on. Static. So I think the word static doesn't go here. Oh no. Hang on. Yeah, I've actually forgotten this. Yeah, let's do it this way, and then we'll find out very quickly. Okay, the word static doesn't go here. Okay, so you can get rid of the word static from there. And then before load frame sequence from, you add the name of the class, right? So it's going to be a static size t, a frame double colon. All right. So what this means is that this is a method that belongs to the frame class, but we don't tell it that it's static here. I think this is where I got bitten, in the past, saying static here too. No, you only say static in the class, within the class template. You don't say static here also. That's the only difference, I think. All right. So this is the part that you need to implement. And yeah, go to line 57, hit enter. And after this comment, Vivian should hand over to someone else. Okay, you can choose someone, by the way, Vivian. Okay, just anyone, really. All right. So after this comment, so this method will read a sequence of frame objects from the named file. Named file, and return the number of frames, and then on the next line and return the number of frames read. Right, each frame is separated from the next by from the next in the file, in the file by right. Okay, so that part you guys are going to decide on. I'll give you an idea, right, which I think we will probably end up implementing. Is basically what we want to do is that in that file, before I describe it, has anybody else got an idea that they would like to talk about? We have a file, lots and lots of frames in there. We just need a way in which we can say, well, you know what, there are 15 frames in there because I read the first frame and then there was a signal to me that went to the, yeah, Krisha, have you got an idea?
Yeah. So we could either do like set number of lines per frame, so it's like each frame is the same size, or you could have a break character. So like after a certain character is met, then it would
hey, Krisha, one sec. For the first idea Krisha shared was that we have a prearranged notion of how tall each frame is, like 15 lines, 20 lines, or whatever it is. You had another one, right? So what was the other idea, Krisha?
The other one's a break character or like a break sequence. So when in get line, if there's a string that like represents end frame, then you stop and go to the next frame.
All right, so let me describe what Krisha is saying. So, and you should correct me, Krisha, if I'm wrong, but I think I got what you were saying. He's saying you got a frame, and then after the frame, you got a special string here saying end of frame, all uppercase, or tilde signs on both sides, some special string. And if you read that string, you know that the frame is finished and the next one is beginning. Is that what you were saying, Krisha?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Okay, so what Krisha described is that he's using a sentinel. Okay, so that string is a sentinel. A sentinel is, and it's an important concept. Maybe I have a question in the final. regarding what a sentinel is. Okay, so but it's a useful concept, and it's good to know. A sentinel is actually part of the data itself. However, we by arrangement, we just assume by agreement to all programmers, saying that even though it is a data item, we're going to treat it as an illegal data item, meaning that it will never ever be seen in the actual data. That's an agreement between all programmers. So we have an agreement like that for a number. Some algorithms always return an integer, an unsigned integer. That's 4 bytes. Always return an integer. So every integer is actually a valid return value. But sometimes the function fails. So it needs to return something that is not an integer. How can it do it if it always returns those 4 bytes? No, in fact, it's what I just described is a great starter for a conversation on Reddit. Okay, because you can think for a long time about the pros and the cons and the different ways of approaching this. Saying I have to return a data item, and every known way of returning the data item is some kind of data item, whether it's 0 or negative, some huge number. But I got a way of doing this, right? So the agreed upon way is to use the very last number that is possible using 4 bits as our sentinel, and that has a special name. Okay, in C++ that you guys already know. It is string : NPOS, right? NPOS stands for no position at all. Okay, it says short for NPOS. So string : NPOS is basically the largest number you can get in those 4 bytes. That is size t minus 1 in unsigned. Does it make sense? And we, through programmers, international, everybody agree upon to say that is out of not a number. Okay, not something that we will accept as a long number. When we get that, we will treat that as an illegal value. So even though it's legal, we're going to treat it as illegal. That is called a sentinel value, right? So, and it's the reason we spent a long time talking about this is because the use of that is very subtle. And so you got to think more about this, and there's lots and lots of points when you discuss this in the forums and saying, what is a sentinel? Why do we use it, right? And do we always have to return a sentinel? So what Krishav said is one way of doing this. Okay, there's one other way of doing this too, which we will, at least one other way that I know, right? Krishav, if you have other ideas, right? We have 2 now, right? Any other ideas? Anybody else too? You have many frames, and we just need to know which, read all these frames one after another. We need to know when one frame ends and the other one begins. If anybody else has an idea, other than the 2 that we talked about, go ahead and mention it. And if we'll either do it or do the other one, right? Anybody has any ideas? Any other ideas on how to do it? Okay, all right, great. So if nobody else, I'll say what we'll try and do. It's not going to be either either of the methods suggested by Krishav. You can do them as extra credit, for example. You can say, well, I tried to do it in a different way, and I did it using Krishav method 1, Krishav method 2. Yeah. So, but we're going to do it in a completely different way, not a completely different way. All right. So we'll do it. All right. So Vivian, just nominate someone. All right. Just pick someone at random, and say, I'm going to share the link, and can you pick it up and fork the code, and then we'll go from there. Yeah. And if they can't do it, I'll be talking them through it too. So it's not a big deal. So nobody has to feel uncomfortable doing that. Although you will feel sometimes uncomfortable, you should just force yourself to do it. That's the best way. Right, best way to being a student is the best time to make a fool of yourself, really, right? Because it's more expensive to make a fool of yourself outside, later on. So here's a time to. So if you want to make a fool of yourself, that's a great opportunity. Nobody's ever going to hold it against you, right? So it's all going to be fun.
I'll nominate.
Go for it. All right, good. Go for it. Who wants to give it a shot?
I just posted the link.
Milton, you want to take a crack at it?
I'll give it a crack.
Great. Okay. All right. So Milton, yeah, just share the link and then fork it, and then we'll just code from there. Okay. And if you guys are not able to code together on this thing, I'll dictate the code like this, like we've done before. And the strategy that I had in mind is essentially what we'll do is that the very first character of the line that you read in, okay, is going to tell us whether it's part of the frame or it's control. That's all. Okay. So if the first character is how about, we can play with it. Let's say the first character is a hash. Hash. Plus. All right. If the first character is a plus, that means that is the end of the frame. Okay. And then what comes after it is a comment, right? But if it's not a plus, then what we'll do is just ignore the first character and the rest of it is a frame. Now, what happens? You can ask, and it's a good question to ask, okay? Why do we ignore the first character? So we have to do it, by the way, okay? In the code, you got to do it. So you read get line, look at the first character. That will tell you whether it's a frame has ended or not, okay? And if it's a new frame, you're going to, start getting the line and putting it into a new frame vector, right? We actually need to do a minor change to that code before you can take over.
Wait,
right? So hey,
the-
Milton, whenever you're ready, share the screen, okay?
Okay.
And pick up the code, and then we'll just go from there. Yeah.
There must have
We
been
need to make
another-
a minor change to send the signature and all.
Okay, I do have to quit and restart Zoom because it's trying to share my screen, so I'm going to do that right now. I'll be right back.
Yeah, sure. No worries.
Does the plus sign indicate, so the line after the plus sign, would that indicate a new frame starting, or would that line be included as the last of
No.
the previous frame?
After the plus, you can do whatever you want. So,
Okay.
so my idea, and everybody should be debugging this idea with me before we start implementing it. Yeah. So all I'm saying is just like the soundtrack of the ancient movies, right? The first character is going to tell us whether it's a control line, or it's a regular frame line. Now, if it's a control line, right now we don't have any other control than saying new frame. But later on, you could have more controls too, right? Maybe you could have a control that says, plus, repeat 20 times. So that frame will get repeated 20 times. But right now, we'll just say plus means next frame.
Okay.
And then every time you get a plus, you say all the lines I've accumulated go into the previous frame. We start a new frame. That's all. Okay. And the only thing we have to be careful about is that every time you read a line, you're going to examine the first character, but you're also going to discard the first character. Essentially, you're going to start the line at the line after the first character. And it's important because otherwise, there's no way you can actually get a real plus in your frame. Yes? But if you wanted a real plus in your frame at column 0, you can really using these ugly escapes. Okay, you can have ugly escapes in processing and software, but it's much cleaner than using escape characters. So you just use the first column as your control column, and then everything else is your real frame. So that's the idea. So you can obviously try and implement it the other two ways, right? So the ways that Christoph suggested, hugely instructive. So everybody should try and implement it and share your version on the Reddit, okay? And besides, after having done that, you're going to produce your own movie. We'll produce a movie today, right? This is it's a simple, fun thing, and we'll see how it goes. Okay. Hey, Milton, whenever you're ready. Are you back on screen? Okay, great. Okay. Now, wow, your screen is really high in resolution. Actually, your font is much more readable than on Vivian's screen. Maybe you have a high-res monitor or something. Okay, all right. So static size. All right. So here, load sequence from file. I see. Okay. So load sequence from file after file name, comma, after file name, comma. I'm going to change my glasses. Hang on, just after file name, hit a comma.
On
No,
line
after file name. Yeah. After file name, comma, and then say vector. Angle within angle brackets. Within angle bracket, less than. No, it's the other. No, vector is right. Vector is right. No, just vector.
Oh,
yeah.
sorry.
And then and then I see. the way I'm talking. It's the first time you're listening to me talking and you're coding, right?
If you look at the
because I'm
line
saying within
below it,
angle brackets
there's
and
an
you're going to
example.
make, vector within angle brackets. No, I'm sorry about that. So no. What you were doing before was correct. Vector by itself, vector, and then open angle brackets. Yeah, vector, open angle brackets. And within the angle brackets, actually, those classes were better. That's really funny.
Should I enlarge it? Does that help?
Yeah, that helps a lot. And I also made the screen brighter. That helps too. Right. Within, yeah, and you want to say capital F frame, right? A frame with a capital F. And then you want to say space. Oh, no. After the angle bracket, put a space. After the angle bracket, put a space. And then put the ampersand sign. And then you're going to say frame underscore vec. Now, also get rid of the space after the word vector, right? There's a space after the word vector. Okay, right. So what that says is that I want to load all the frames from this file into a frame vector, which is made up of lots and lots of frames. However, don't create the vector and then give me a copy of it, because if the function creates a vector, see, and it's a very subtle point, okay? Maybe remember this or time mark this in the YouTube video, or at least remember this and talk about this, okay? So if the function creates a vector, and maybe talk about this, okay? This is like, it is important. I'll give you points if you have a reasoned discussion about this, right? If the function load sequence from file creates the vector and returns a copy of the vector, instead of size t, it's actually going to return the copy of the vector. If it's going to do that, then it's wasteful, isn't it? Because it is going to create the vector, but that vector is going to be created in a store that is automatic. It's its own copy, and it's returning it. So it's got to return a something that the other guy can refer to, and this thing on the stack will disappear. That's how stack frames work in programming, is that when a function creates variables, as soon as a function goes out of existence, all of its variables that were on the stack will also disappear, because that is the only way in which the return address, where do I need to go after running that function? That return address is buried under all those variables and all those things, right? So those need to go from the stack. So everything on the stack goes. So stack is called automatic. They come and they go. You don't, so they just automatic. You don't have to manage. However, in week number 10 maybe, right, you will be creating objects on the heap, which is different than the stack. We already had a discussion about heap and stack, I think, on the forums, right? The heap is main memory. It has to be terabytes of memory out there, as much as your machine can support. And you're telling the operating system, give me some memory from there. And it's not on your stack. So even after that function goes away, that is still there. It's been attached to your process now. And you got to let it go, right? So that is the kind of thing that you'll be struggling a lot with once you start, quest number 9, and you'll conquer it. Once you get used to managing pointers and being mindful of memory being wasted, it'll just come automatically. But getting there is hard, and especially Python and Java programmers, they always say, oh my gosh, C++ is hard. It's not for me, because you got to be mindful of memory and leaks and all these things, and you got to be clean all the time, right? But being clean is not like a chore. If you're clean for about 10 days, right, on the 11th day, you don't feel like you have to put in a great deal of effort to do that, because it just comes naturally to you automatically after that, right? So it's just that discipline, right? So the initial part is hard, and that is why I think getting used to using objects in a wise way, okay, in a prudent way, meaning don't just create them willy-nilly, right? Just because it gives me a dictionary or a map, I'm just going to throw bam, bam, bam. All right, I've got it working. No, that is the, put it together way of getting things done. But, you can think like a computer scientist or a software engineer and say, well, this is exactly what I need to get done. So I don't need all these complex structures. I just do it with, what I know up to week 5 of CS2A, not even using objects. Maybe, we're using objects here, right? But, just one small step, and you can do a lot with just this basic knowledge. And that way you'll be close to the metal, right? So you'll know exactly what's going on. rather than saying, well, I'm using a dictionary, I don't know what the complexity is. Maybe it's just moving a whole house behind the scenes in order to get me the value of that key, right? But people don't care about that, but you should. And that is why I think that getting comfortable with pointers and memory management later on is going to be useful. Now, anyway, the point I was trying to make with this particular function was that if the function created that vector and gave it to you, it has to give you a copy that is living permanently on the heap, not on the stack, which will disappear. So there's a copy involved. And if it's 5,000 frames or 5 billion frames, all those frames have got to be copied from one place to another, which is a pain. Therefore, we said, we'll make an engineering decision. Okay, again, this will work. Whether we make this decision thing here or not, it'll work. Because even if it returns a copy, yeah, it'll work. That is a tragedy of having a bad programmer work for you, because they'll get stuff that'll work. But if you're lucky, you'll get stuff that breaks. And then you can say, all right, why does it break, right? But if you're unlucky, most of the time, it'll just work, but it'll work in an inefficient way. And that is a danger. Exactly. So you can say, well, even though it'll work, I'm going to make it as efficient as possible. So I don't want it to be recreated. So what I'll do is I'll just create a vector here itself, right? And it's an empty vector. So it's, I'm just going to give it the empty vector and say all the frames you get, just stuff it into this vector. And when you're done, it'll just be there already. You say, I'm just done. There's no copying, no transfer, other than the bare minimum. Does that make sense? So I hope it was worth belaboring this point, okay? Even though it's not directly connected to statics or to the other things that we're doing, but it is actually important that even as you're programming static methods, right? Because this is a signature issue, right? In the signature, we say, why do we pass the vector in as a reference? First of all, C++ lets you pass it in as a reference, right? So why do you pass it in as a reference as opposed to having it created in the function and giving it? And that's what a Python programmer would do, right? A naive Python programmer will say, well, I'm going to create a dictionary and give them a copy of the dictionary. Fortunately, it works in languages like Python and Java because, it says it's an object, but I'm going to take the pointer to the object. Now it lives on the garbage collector knows it's, something's attached to it and things like that. But even just because it works is not a reason to use it, right? Because you got to imagine that it doesn't work. And, it's a freebie you're getting from a language that knows what it's doing for you. Just because ChatGPT is going to do everything for you, yeah, well, okay, there's no excitement if you're going to get ChatGPT to do it for you, right? You can say, well, you know what, no matter, even though someone else can do it, I'm still going to do it anyway, because the fun isn't doing it, not in finding the solution. Yes? So it doesn't matter if 100 people have flown to the moon. I'm going to fly to the moon anyway. Yeah, so that is the attitude, I think. So you just go for it and try and understand what the hell it's doing, right? Don't let the machine do it for you, even though the machine can do it for you. In fact, every single day, machines can do more. At some point, machines can do anything you want to do, right? And in fact, you don't even have to have an implant, like, Musk is trying to do, right? You don't even have to, you can control, at some point, I'm pretty sure we'll figure out how to control things with electromagnetic waves even. You just go walk into a room and switch on something and you get a holodeck experience just by closing your eyes, like I have Total Recall, right? Even in Total Recall, you can see the guy wearing a helmet and, crappy stuff, right? All of that is history. So we should be able to, maybe in 100 years, get the technology to a point where we can get anything we want just by, live exactly what you want to live, right? So, but that's if you want to, once you get to that point, you want to ask, all right, what do I want to do it, right? What do I want to do? So that's the important question. So that can't be answered by someone else. Once you know what you want to do, you can get someone else to do it for you or an algorithm to do it for you. But what do you want to do, right? So you get to ask that question. And the thing is, when you understand these things, and so you got all these things, they're all freebies today, right? I don't have to employ a programmer for many of these things, right? When I used to create a website, or maybe, it was very, even, you can get these things done automatically these days. And more of these are, and it's not a threat to him, I don't think, right? It's a threat to humanity. It's just that it frees up our mind to think about the more important, consequential things. What is it that we actually want? Do we want just a slave that'll do everything for us? Or do we want juicy stuff left for us to think about, right? Even though it's been solved by someone else. right? Just because Einstein solved relativity, there are people say, oh, I'm just going to use a formula without understanding it. No, right? So many people have solved it before, and many people are still solving it. It's just because the joy is in the understanding. So yeah, that's why it's like important. Okay, even data structures, when you implement data structures, understand the complexity in and out, because then you'll know the complex, what you're trading off. You want to overpay. It's like being stingy and it's not stingy, frugal to thrifty to the limit, right? And I won't overpay by a single cent. I mean, I know exactly what the cost is. That way you can say, yeah, I can use a data structure because I know exactly how much I'm giving up for it. In fact, you can do that today. In fact, you can write a system that will do that today by saying, I'm going to make these time CPU trade-offs, because on Amazon or all these clouds, you can get a Lambda that gives you a certain number of CPU cycles, and you can also get space, gigabytes. So it's basically just mixing and matching the costs and saying, in my algorithm, can I afford so much space and so much compute, or the other way around? And so it's an X and Y. Well, it's not as simple as an X and Y, but it's a computational problem, right? So you can actually estimate these things and say, at any time, I'm just going to spend the least amount of money to get the best result at any time, right? So that's essentially what we're trying to do here. Right, so go for it. How about Milton? I'm not going to talk anymore. Now that you got the signature of the function, you got the signature, and you've got the thing, the body of the function too. Yeah. So I'm not going to talk, right? Maybe I'll even turn the laptop around so you guys don't have me in your face. And what you have to do is further down. Yeah, there, that thing, right? So you guys have, and Milton hasn't got to be the person to write, okay? To code. By the way, Milton, because you haven't been in the previous classes, you got to understand that you are primarily in the capacity of a typist. Okay, so even if you have an idea of what you're going to type, hold on to your thought. You don't type it. Is that okay with you?
Yep.
All right. So first choice is first option is always for someone else to call out the code, and what they call out, you just type. Okay. Is that okay? Is that okay?
That works for me.
All right. Now, if you're stuck, if you're absolutely stuck, you can ask Chris. Okay, Chris is here, and he'll help you. And what you have to do essentially is you're going to have a get line. You're going to open a file. Just like in the other thing, you're going to open a file, get line from the file. Yeah. And as you get the line, you're going to get the first character, string of 0, right? Line of 0 is the first character, and make a decision. If the first character is a plus, you just take all the lines you've accumulated so far. That's your frame. Push it onto your right. In fact, what you would do is in your vector, you declare, that vector. Oh, by the way, you have got to change the signature here, right? After string, comma, file name, you got to say vector, ampersand, and all that thing. All the things that you had up there. Space, comma. Yeah, and then vector, and then left. That was right. Vector, left. There you go. Yeah. Whatever you tried to copy was correct. Yeah. Ampersand frame back. Okay. So the first thing you can do is, that if it's a plus, if the first character is a plus, the lines coming after that are going to be a new frame. So you basically just at that point, what do you do? What did we call it? Yeah, frame vec dot resize whatever its size is +1. Yeah, or you can say frame vec dot pushback an empty frame. Whatever it is, you get one more, and then all the lines you examine the first character, and then if it's not a plus, you're just going to say dot erase 0. Okay. Now I did a lot of research, and I'm still not 100% convinced that erasing the first character is a constant time operation. So it's a great post for Reddit. Okay. Do some research and find out if the time taken to erase the first character of a string is a constant time operation, meaning that if you had 1,000,000 characters and you erase the first character, all of them shifted over, right? Now, I found that in fact it is constant time, because I think it just advances the point. It's saying, hey, I got the whole array of characters, but the string doesn't start here, it starts here. But I don't know if it's reliable and it happens all this time, right? So you can do some research and find out if it's reliably constant time operation. Extra credit, okay? So not essential. So you're going to say Get the first character, erase the first character, not a plus, that's your line. So your, vector, frame vector, square bracket, I, right? Dot, what is it, lines? I don't know, maybe lines or add line or whatever it is. You got to figure it out, okay? And you got to push it back. Is this clear? Is this clear? Because if it's clear, I can leave you guys with it. I don't have to talk through the code. You can always call me anytime, right? I'm just going to be here. I'm going to be behind the screen, okay? I'm not going to be looking at you guys. Are you guys comfortable with this for 5 minutes? Do you want 5 or 10 minutes? Do you want to code by yourself? Yeah, anyone can call out the code, and Milton will just type, okay? So what you have to do is simply just open the file. Do you want me to call out the first few lines of code, or Chris, do you want to call out the first few lines of code? Up to you, any of you guys. Okay with
That
me?
would help me. I am a little lost right now.
All right. Okay. So how about I call out the first few lines? Okay. So what we want to do is, hang on. Okay. All right. So we're getting the file name. All right. So the first thing we want to do is open the file name. Yes, we want to open the file name. Oh, also let's do the right thing and say framevec.clear. Okay, we'll make sure that the framevec is clear, meaning it's been cleared and it has 0 elements in there. Yeah, framevec.clear. Every step of the way. Anybody doesn't understand anything, you should just raise your hand, or not raise your hand. Just feel free to ask. Okay, so clear, open, close, open, close, open. When I say open, close, it just means open parentheses, close parentheses. Yeah. Not there, not there. After clear, you say open and close parentheses. Yeah, semicolon. All right. Does everybody know what that does? Otherwise, we have to put a comment on it. Everybody okay? I'm not getting any balloons today. I'm just getting this. All right, I'm getting stars. So two thumbs up is this. All right, 2, and this is balloons. All right. So oh, this is different. I'm getting confetti. Or maybe like this is balloons. I'm sorry. Frame vector clear. All right. Now you're going to open the file. So you're going to open the file, and you can say, what do we have? Yeah, I copy lines 37 to 43. Yeah. In fact, copy the whole thing. Copy the whole. Yeah, copy it, put it there, and we can delete it and clean it up. Yeah. Okay. All right, so return, get rid of return lines.size, get rid of that. Yeah, but instead say return framevec.size, right? And that's what we want to return, because it needs to return the number of frames that we read. Yes, frame underscore vec dot size. That's what it's got to return. Open, close, semicolon, and then get rid of the blank lines after that. Now it's opened the file, right? And then it checks if the file stream is erroneous or bad, right? The file didn't exist, or it didn't have permission, and so on. If not, IFS will be null, right? Or it'll evaluate to false. So you say, if not IFS, just return 0, meaning I read 0 frames. Is that okay with everybody? Yeah? I don't know. All right, so I don't know. So maybe Brian is nodding his head, but nobody else. I gotta have at least a majority of you people, saying yes. All right, Krisha, hands up. All right, thumbs up. You guys say, all right, thumbs up, yes, whatever it is, right? Some indication that you're listening, right? And yeah, thank you all for the thumbs up. Okay, but you got to be on top of this all the time. All right, otherwise it's not. Yeah, all right. It'll be hard.
Or that line there, are we saying that if there is a file stream, or if there is not a file stream, we want to return 0?
All right, if the file stream, so you see the exclamation mark in front of it?
Yes.
That says if not file stream. Now, not in C++ can be overloaded, meaning the behavior of not can be defined for that file stream class. So the file stream object understands the not as saying, if I'm bad, I'm going to say false. If I'm good, I'm going to say true. So that if that file stream is good, that is true. Yeah. So that means if not file stream, that means if the file stream is not good. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yes.
everybody okay with this? Right. So, and it's important because it is a repeat of the code from the other function, right? It happens in both places. While get line if comma str. Okay, now we're going to do some complex decision here. All right. So put a curly brace, a space and curly brace after line after on line 69, at the end of line 69, at the end of line 69. Yeah, at the end, curly brace. Right, yeah, space and then space and curly brace. Right now, hit a couple of enters. Yeah. Right, now get rid of the line start pushback. We don't need that yet, right? We don't need that yet, but we do need a string str is good, right? So we have. All right, so we're getting the string. Now we're going to make a decision based on the first character. Remember, branching statements. Yeah. So the first thing you're going to do is if str dot length, right? No, I think it needs to be four spaces, four spaces. Two more. Is that right? Yeah. Oh, I don't know. Maybe that's 5. One tab, one more tab. No, one more tab. Great. Okay. Now, what was I saying? If str dot length, right? If open parentheses. No, not like in Python. Open parentheses, open. So yeah, you got to practice enough times so that this just comes naturally. Yeah. If str dot length, length, even size works. Yeah. If open close. Or you can just say empty. If str dot empty, I think we found it works, right? If str dot empty, just continue, meaning that you're going to ignore empty lines. You're not going to have empty lines. If you actually want an empty line in your frame, you're going to have a bunch of spaces there. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Open, close, open, close, open, open. No, open, close parentheses, open, close parentheses. Yeah. And on the end of the line, you can just say continue, right? Continue. And two spaces, just one space after the, before, there you go. Right. Now, after the semicolon, you can put a comment there, right? Space, a few spaces and then a comment marker. I say ignore empty lines. All right. Okay. Now, the line is not empty. So that means it has at least one character. Yes or no? Now, these are important questions, okay, and important decision points that you'll actually only face really in production, programming, and professional work, right? Because making decisions like saying, all right, before I check the first character, should I make sure that it even exists? Those kinds of things are not enforced in college level courses, I think, right? But it's important because you're going to be professional programmers at some point. So you need to know, before you check for the first character, we have to make sure. Because you can't just say, give me the first character, and it doesn't exist and it crashes. Well, in this case, you're safe because it's a string, and a string is a safe C++ structure. Because the first character, it's guaranteed to be at least a null character. So you'll get it. But many data structures, you may actually access the first thing, which may not exist. So it's important too. So that's why we're saying if it's empty, we just return, right? So important, not part of CS2A, important. All right, enter, right? Now what you can do is if str square bracket 0, no, always after if, get into the habit of saying open parentheses. Yeah. If str square bracket 0, square bracket 0. Yeah. Right. That is the first character of the string. Right. And you say double equals, outside of the square brackets, say double equals, space double equals. And we want to check for plus sign, okay? If it's a plus sign, that means it is the beginning of a new frame. Yes or no? Yeah? Okay. I don't know. Nobody's agreeing with me. If it's a plus sign, if the line you read in, it starts with a plus, that means it's a new frame from then on. Okay. All right. Juliana's nodding her head. Okay. Is Krisha? Yeah. Okay. Anybody else? Milton, you're nodding head. Okay. Rebecca, good. All right, Vivian, yes, okay. Isidore, all right. Chris, all right, great, okay. All right, Brian, you good too? Yeah, all right, okay. So if it's a plus sign, so the plus has got to be an ASCII character. So you say upper, apostrophe plus apostrophe, right? That's an ASCII plus. Apostrophe sign, apostrophe, no, apostrophe, not exclamation mark.
Oh, sorry.
No, not apostrophe, not double quote, single quote. Single quote, yeah. I should have said single quote, right? I said apostrophe, right? It's a single quote plus, single quote plus, right? Right. Now, after the closing parentheses, make a comment. Oh my gosh, Krusha has to go now. It's 7:20. We've got half an hour. Okay, we'll try and finish this before then. But we'll complete it after class 2 because we can. It's not, there's not a lot to go. A lot left. Okay. All right. Plus, and now, in the comment we're going to say, new frame begins. Yeah. Okay. All right. Now, what we want to do is, no, 1 sec. Okay. After the plus, just before the closing parentheses, right? And we say double ampersand. And then what we'll do, no, double ampersand. That's and, right? That's and. What we want to do is, I see. So it's minor inefficiency, but it's okay. We'll do it, okay? Because in the interest of time, okay? So what we're going to do is go to line 63 and hit enter for a sec. Yeah, go to line 63 and hit enter for a sec, right? And say frame capital F frame dot. No, it's a frame space frame, right? Meaning that we're going to create a frame object just like that. In fact, what we'll do is I think that's a place to go. Yeah, frame space frame. Lower, and no period between the two. Yeah. All right. So that means we're asking the compiler, give us a frame, an empty frame. It has the lines thing inside of it, and it's empty. It's all clean and clear. Okay. So what we're going to do is, as we read the lines, we're going to stuff the frame, and every time we get a new frame, if that frame is not empty, we're going to stuff it into our vector of frames. That's what we're going to do, right? Once we complete the loop, actually follow the logic through, and it'll be very straightforward. Okay. So all right. So now frame, yeah. Okay. So semicolon there, a semicolon after. No, and the second frame is lowercase f. Yeah. All right. Lowercase f. All right. Great. Okay. Now let's go into the while loop. Yeah. While loop. So it's not an empty line, and it's a plus. So on the next line, you're going to say, yeah. On the next line, you're going to say if frame dot empty, right? Type this in and it'll make sense. Okay. If open parentheses. Yeah. Right. Are you like a Python person or something? You're always missing out the parentheses, right?
Yes.
So yeah. Right. So you got to do this a lot, okay? Because you have to overcome that. Right. Okay. Frame dot empty. Right. And then we want to skip. We want to create a new frame. We want to push this frame only if it's not empty. If it's an empty frame, no point in pushing an empty frame into your sequence of frames, right? So what we're going to do is, if not frame empty, right? So you want to put a exclamation mark before the frame dot empty. I put an exclamation mark. Yeah. If not frame dot empty. Yeah. All right. So go to the end and hit enter. And then indent in. And here you're going to say frame underscore vec dot push back, right? Frame underscore vec dot push back. All right. Frame. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I see. It's a function call. So open parentheses and then say frame. Yeah, and get rid of the space before the open parentheses and semicolon at the end. That'll wrap it up. One more thing we have to do, but that's okay. Right, put in a semicolon at the end. So this is actually a compound statement. So you want a curly brace after the if statement. So on the previous line, say space and then curly brace. Yeah. Right. Now, the other thing we have to do is, after we push this frame, we're going to start building the new frame, right? So this frame has got to be cleared now. We've already pushed a copy of this. Now this can be emptied out. So you want to say frame dot on the next line, right? So inside the if statement. Yeah, on the next line. No, inside the if statement. Inside. Go to the end of, yeah, there you go. Enter. Right now you say frame dot clear, frame dot clear. All right, now open close. Now you remember we're calling a new method. We didn't exist. What we intended for that to happen is that we already have a frame which has a lines vector inside of it. When we call clear on the frame, all it has to do is go in and clear the vector of lines. That's all. Yes. So let's just do it inline. Now this is excellent practice for knowing when to inline a function, right? So let's go to the frame class. Go to the frame class, right at the top, right at the top, right at the top. Under public, yeah. Show frame at. After line 28, hit enter. No, after 28, hit enter, right? Yeah. Right, so a void, clear, right? Open, close, no parameters, right? And no space before the thing, right? No space before the, no space before the curly brace, no space, there you go. Right, and get rid of the curly semicolon. We want to complete the body of the function right there. Inline, okay, inline definition. Space, curly brace, and curly brace, right? Space. And you want to say lines dot clear, open, close, semicolon, and curly brace. That's the end of the function, right? So we defined an inline function, an inline method. An inline method, instead of defining it out of line like the other methods, it is so simple that we defined it inline right there. So here's a method called clear. You can call it on a frame object, and all it does is does a line dot clear. That's all. Is everybody okay with this so far? Hands up if okay. Yeah, not hands up, thumbs up. Right? Why aren't you guys getting the, you're all doing 2 thumbs? Can someone else do 2 thumbs? Why is nobody else getting the, maybe you have to hold it there for a little while for the algorithm to pick up, why is nobody else getting the, maybe it's host, right? Maybe the host of the meeting needs to be able to do that, right? Yeah, okay, cool. All right. All right, so if everybody's okay with this, now go to the while loop that you had before, that the end. So that is what we had before, right? So that will essentially open the file. And now if it is not, if it is a plus, if it is a plus, we do that. And then, all right, if it's not a plus, right? Enter. Yeah, no, not after the curly brace, get rid of the blank line. Yeah, after the curly brace, enter. Now, what we can do is else, meaning that if it's not a plus, you want to else curly brace, enter. Right now now you're going to do str.erase, right? This is the part I talked about. And again, ripe for Reddit discussion. Find out if it is always constant time in operation, because you never know. I don't know. I did some, half an hour of looking up and I couldn't tell it was guaranteed to be constant time all the time, right? So I think it is open parentheses 0, 1, right? 0, 1, meaning that and semicolon at the end. And then we put a comment there, mainly for you guys to do some research, right? Erase the first character. Erase the character at index 0. Erase the first, within parentheses, now you can say character at index 0. First character at index 0. Yeah. All right. Now, after you've erased the line, you want to add that to the frame. So you all be on the next line, you're basically going to say frame dot lines, frame dot lines dot add, yeah, frame dot lines dot push back, push underscore back, yeah, and then str. All right, that's all. That's loaded all of the frames. Actually, it was more than 10 lines. I grossly overestimated the number of lines, or underestimated the number of lines we needed to write. I said it was like 5 lines. Yeah, so I'm sorry. Okay, I totally misled you. More lines, but hopefully all simple lines. Yes or no? Right? With not a whole lot of complex logic here. Yes or no?
Yes.
Open the file. We read it. If it's a plus, new frame. If it's not a plus, add on to the existing frame. That's all. Yeah. There's one more function we need to do, right? The other function is show frame sequence at. When we do that, we're ready to make a movie, right? So let's do that. Let's do the other function. Now, how about someone else? Maybe someone else should have a go, Milton. Is that okay with you?
That works for me.
Yeah. All right. How about
Thank
someone else today? Milton, you got to share that. You got to click the orange thing. That says share. You got a URL and you share that in the chat window, and someone will pick it up from there. How about someone else, right? Who wants to code? Wants to code? Or I would just nominate someone too. That's fine. Raj, you want to code?
Yeah, I can go for it.
All right, okay. Yeah, because you're the I haven't most of the other people I actually remember. Actually, Spencer is up. I haven't remembered a long time ago. Yeah, Spencer, Kiera, Zach. All right, so now I remember more of you guys. All right, great. Okay, Zach. No, Raj, pick up the screen. And then share this, and then we'll just go and code the other function. And
Milton,
the other
put
function is like
the-
super easy to
Okay,
code.
cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, I'll share my screen in just a second.
Yeah. Actually, some guys are missing today. Vikram and all. All right, so and get rid of the blue part, and then maximize your. Thank you, Milton. Milton, thanks. Yeah.
Thank you for
Oh, you didn't get balloons. All right. So yeah, okay. So here's what we want to do. Oh, and by the way, get rid of the blank line on 83. I'm not getting balloons now. I'm getting confetti. Actually, maybe the balloons got superseded by confetti this week, because this is exact gesture that got
The
balloons last
balloon
time.
is only if you do with one hand.
But this should also balloon is just one hand. But is this the same in FaceTime too? Yeah. Thank you, Juliana. All right. But it's only for the host, and and does it happen on FaceTime also, because it's Apple, not Zoom?
Yeah.
I see. All right. Cool. All right. Okay. Great. Thank you. All right. So the other function, let's copy the signature of the function, paste it right under this function, and we're going to implement that function. Okay. I bet that function is 5 lines. Okay. Hey, it's not more than 5 lines this time. Okay.
Wait, which
All right,
lines?
so, let's go to that function.
From the while?
No, right to the class. Right to the class. To the class.
So these ones?
Class def. No, all the way to the class def.
Oh.
To the class def. Yeah. Right to the top. Now, this function that we show frame sequence at. Show frame sequence at. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
And that's the thing. No. Show frame sequence at line 32. Line 32.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Triple click the line. Yeah. All right. Copy that and then go to the end, and we can paste it, and then we can fill out the body.
Before the main?
Yeah, just before
Like
the
88.
All right. There you go. Right, and then I think the word static does not belong there, so you can get rid of the static and fix the indentation. And get rid of the blank lines. The indent before it, extra indent. No, you get rid of the indentation. You get it to the all right now, and to the end, you get rid of the semicolon, and then space curly brace. Yeah. All right, great. Okay, so we're gonna fill this in now. So with this part that we did, super standard. Yes. And by the time you're in Quest 6 or 7, you should be very used to doing this. You fill out the class template, right? And then most of the implementation, you just copy the signature over, and that'll actually give you it'll jog your memory of saying exactly what you need to do. And so this sequence of operations, like grabbing it from there, pasting it here, extending it, grabbing it. And that's happening only with headings now, declarations, but very soon it'll happen with functions too. Because sometimes later on, you'll be writing an algorithm that is very similar to this algorithm, but it's slightly different. So it just can be a parameterized version of this algorithm. It has a completely different algorithm, implementation. So you copy and paste, adapt, copy, paste, adapt. Okay. That is how the life of most programmers go, right? Even, big other code that you haven't got before, sometimes it's just copy and paste from numerical recipes in C++, right? Because it's an algorithm, matrix multiplication, that's been done lots of times, even though you're going to be doing it in C++, in CS2C. But that, it's something that you just copy and paste, and it'll get to go. All right. So here's what we want to do. What we want to do is, let's put a comment on line 87. Go to 87, hit enter. One more, enter. All right. Now we want to say, display the sequence of frames in FrameVec. After with a 0.1 second, not 0.1, 1/10 of a second. Let's say 0.5. We do a half-second interval between them, with a half-second interval. So you got two animations per second. Yeah, 2 animations per second between them.
Mhm.
All right. So inside, all you're going to do really is and there you go on the front, and let's put the whole and then one more comment by the way. Okay. And put the whole thing in an infinite loop, right? Put the whole thing in an infinite loop. So essentially, when you say, display the frame sequence, it's going to run until they hit Control C. Yeah. Right. So, all right. So you're going to say while true, and inside the while true. So meaning the same animation over and over again. right? All right. So and then here you're going to say yeah, frame. Oh, hang on. One sec. Okay. Oh, you know what? Instead of while true, let's use. Yeah. No, inside. That's correct. Okay. So for yeah, loop. Yeah, for the size t I equals 0, I less than frame vec dot size.
Size t, can you repeat that? I less
I
than
equals 0. Yeah, that's great. I equals 0. So semicolon. I is less than frame vec dot size. Yeah, and then I plus plus. Yeah. All right. So in here, and all you're going to do is frame vec square bracket I, and then outside dot. So that is a frame object, isn't it? Yeah.
Mhm.
Frame vec. That's a frame object. Dot show frame at. I think it's called for show frame at. What did we call it? Each frame. How do you show a frame? We had a method, right? It's a show frame at or something. What was the frame? Not show frame sequence at. Is it show frame at for sure?
I'm not sure.
Okay. All right. So Zach is nodding his head. Okay. All right. So open parentheses. Yeah, and here you're going to say x comma y.
Oops.
Yeah. And yeah, all right. And semicolon after that, right? And enter. And then you're going to say you sleep. I think it's 500 times 1000. Yeah, 500 times 1000. Yeah, that's half a second, right? Semicolon at the end and say half a second sleep, right? And put a comment saying half a second sleep. All right, that's it. Okay, so it's just going to, when you show the frame sequence, you give it a sequence of frames, and it's going to loop through the whole thing. Show the first frame, and then sleep for half a second. Show the second frame, half a second, until all the frames are exhausted, and then go back again. And so it's going to keep in that infinite loop. Is everybody okay with that so far? Yes. Okay. Now, how about we go ahead and create a frame sequence file? Yeah. Okay. That's really cool. So we got time for this. Okay. So open. What is this thing? A new file. No. Actually, let's compile it and make sure it compiles. Okay. Make sure it compiles and all. So yeah, let's fix these errors. Okay. Yeah. Well, how come we have this really crazy? Ampersand. Oh yeah. All right. Yeah, we forgot to fill in the ampersand. Go to that place. Line 74. All right. So here, and oh, I see. And frame and not frame.empty. You put the condition in there, right? And not, yeah, not frame
not equals.
dot empty. No, not
Mhm.
frame.empty, right?
Okay.
And by the way, yeah, I'm glad we came back here because that was wrong. He had a capital F there, and I missed that, right? So you can actually get rid of that line. Get rid of line 57.
75, you mean?
Yeah, triple click and delete. And then this what you have empty should have parentheses after that, open close parentheses. Yeah, right. So what that says is that if it's a plus and your frame that you're currently accumulating is not empty, then you push it on the sequence of frames and start a new frame.
Mhm.
Otherwise, you just continue to add things to the same frame. Is that okay? Very subtle, not subtle, very slightly more, complex logic than what we had before, right? We have an if statement inside an if statement and loop and all, but basically just throwing things together, right? And it'll work. And the logic is straightforward enough here to follow, right? I don't think you'll have more complex logic than this in the exam. I mean, you don't get a question that says, hey, here's something that you decipher what the hell is going on, what the value is. This is the level of complexity you can expect to see. Is that okay? All right, compile it one more time. Well, let's see if we have more errors. And then
Well,
we'll fix
okay,
it.
so
And then after
74,
that, we'll go ahead and create 5.
Just
Oh, push back. Well, line 81. Go to line 81. Oh,
She's
we didn't
missing a
complete that.
semicolon.
No. Push back. Open parentheses. Push back. str. Yeah. All right. Okay. What else?
93.
What does it say?
Error passing constant value type, aka constant frame, is this argument.
Oh, I see. Because we didn't do so. Show frame at is not a, all right, so go to the declaration in the class. And again, I'm glad. Thank you for the compiler, because it's actually bringing out the concepts that really are important for this thing, right? So here, show frame at, what does it do? And again, power of C++ and the way that you can use these qualifiers, okay? It is an object, and you're saying, here's an object, show it on the screen, right? Now this method is being given this object, and it's going to show it on the screen. But you trust that method to, and give it this object and show it on the screen. Now this object should be said, you should mark this object as const, then you can open up that, method to the whole world and say anyone can call this method, because when you call this method, you get given this object itself, but you can read it and show it on the screen, but you can't touch it, okay? And the way you do that is put the word const, C-O-N-S-T,
Yeah.
at the end of line 28. At the end of line 28, just before the semicolon, right? So what that says is the same as putting the word const in front of a parameter in a function, right? It's a reference parameter, don't touch it. You put the word const there. Yes, we did that before. Now, if this parameter itself, which is the current object, that itself is const, how do you indicate? This is the way you indicate it, right? You put the word const at the end that says this parameter is also const. Now, this is it's only week 7, okay? I'm talking about this parameter and const and refs and so on, right? If it feels overwhelming, don't worry, because but the thing is, you shouldn't let go and say, oh, it's overwhelming, I'll come back next week. No, then it'll feel overwhelming again. But if you keep at it, by next week you'll just get used to all these things, okay? Const, ref, passing parameters and so on. This is really the bread and butter going forward. And now if you compile it, it won't complain. Previously it was complaining because it said show frame sequence at, got given a it's constant frames, but you're passing one of those guys to another method which does not promise to change it, right? So the compiler has your back, and it's actually warning you that's an error, right? So what is the error here?
There's a bunch. 50.
Hmm? No, just the first one. What's the first one?
This is void frame, show frame.
No, what is the error?
declaration.
No declaration matches. All right, so void frame show frame at
We go
what?
up to the class.
We forgot the word const here, right? We had to put the word const here also. So on line 50, put the word const at the end. Yeah, I'm sorry, I forgot. Yeah, space after the const, nicer, right? Now compile it again. Let's always just focus on the first error. Okay.
So now 74.
Okay, empty, right? So go to the word. What is that thing? Line 74. Go to line 74.
Yep, I'm here.
Okay, all right. So frame.empty. We just need to define that. Go right to the top again. Go right to the top, right? So after void clear, put enter, right? Again, inline. Okay. No, bool. No. Bool, empty, right? Open close. No, open close. Space curly brace, and you're going to say return lines.empty, meaning that if the frame has an empty lines, then the frame is empty. Yeah. So if someone says, hey frame, are you empty? All you're going to say is, hey lines, are you empty? That value just goes back. That's all you're doing here. Again, it's inline. Yeah. Everybody okay with that? Okay, good. All right, so compile again. Let's get the first error. What's the first error?
Now it's back to line 30. Oh, I think I didn't put in a semicolon.
No. The semicolon has to go inside. The semicolon after the curly brace. Also, empty is a constant method. Empty does not change, right? It's just returns a value, so you can put a const after the closing parentheses. Put the word const. No, not there. After the inside, no, not there.
Oh, inside.
Semicolon there. No. Put the closing. Yeah, closing. Right. Backspace. No. Yeah, there you go. Further down. After bool empty. That is the declaration. Yeah, before the body of the function. After the declaration, but before the body. There you go. Yeah, there. Click there and say empty. No, not there. Not before. But it has to go before the body, not after the body. Before the body. Before the curly brace.
Oh, I see. You want me to type const?
Yeah. Just say const. Right. Again, see these things that Raj was struggling on. you got to keep at it because it's practice, because you don't know where does it go, const, because it's just a convention. It's a convention that got decided on by C++ programmers, and because everybody's using it, you're best off just trying to understand and remember it, because it's the least amount of mental effort. So you can't pause to think, all right, does it go after the curly brace, before the curly brace, right, or does it go in the end? These things will just become second nature by practice. Okay, that's it. All right. So that, and no, const, and put a space after the const too. It's nicer. And compile one more time and run it. Compile one more time. All right, let's get the first error. Else without a previous if. All right, get to line 79. Yeah, all right. So
Isn't there an if right here?
Oh yeah, because we didn't have a curly brace. We don't have a curly brace, open curly brace at the end of the line, right? No, at the end of the line, space, space and a curly brace. Yeah, and now that else will actually belong to that if, right? Previously it wasn't part of the if. Now this is part of it. Compile. All right. So you can, yeah. So it's there. Why is it still doing? Oh, we got the old main. We got the old main. All right. Now it compiles. It compiles. Right? It compiles. And we still have the old main. We're going to change the main. We're going to change the main so that we create a new frame sequence file now, which will have lots and lots of frames in it, and it's going to display all the frames one after another. That's all. Okay. So now we know that it works. Now let's go ahead and create this, frame sequence.txt, right? So let's create a new file and frame sequence.txt. Now, is everybody okay with this so far? We went a little fast just to make sure that it compiles and all, but we went a little fast over all of the errors, right? When there's an error and I said, all right, now let's go, fortunately, all of that is in video, right? So when you're trying to do this on your own, you can pause the video, all right? And say, all right, right, I'm going to compile it. I got this error. Hey, you know what? Those guys got the same error too when they compiled it, right? So what does this mean? And then you can look at it and say, all right, this curly brace needs to go there. Well, missing, but chances are very high, especially if you're doing it the first time. You're gonna, you like Milton before. You're gonna, forget the curly braces. You're gonna forget the parentheses. Very high. So, and then, the thing is not to be thrown off by compiler errors, especially C++ compiler errors, right? Because, other languages at least more considerate. C++, something goes wrong, it'll just barf a whole page of red ink at you. Yeah, and lots of people are intimidated by that and say, I'm not even going to learn C++ because, but no, like we did, Raj and I did now. We know there's a whole lot of errors, but we're only going to look at the first error. Fix the first error, recompile, most of the things go away. How many people know that? Most programmers don't know that. Yes? Well, maybe most programmers don't do that, but I've found a lot of success with this, and a lot of programmers I know have found a lot of success with that, right? So even though you get lots and lots of errors, newbies will basically tend to look at the whole bunch and get intimidated and say, overwhelmed by this. I'm never going to be able to fix all of those errors. And no, it's usually the first few errors. It's exactly the same. I said, when my friend who is a dancer, and she said, it took me like 2 months to practice this thing. And it's like 10 seconds, but the whole piece is like 2 minutes, right? But the computer scientist would think, oh my gosh, that means like a whole year of practice. No, it's usually all of the hard moves are in the first 10, and once you get that done, it's usually the repetition of that or minor variations of that. That'll come a whole lot more easier after that. So it's exactly the same here too. So you got to put in the effort in the initial stages and just persevere. Okay. And go through this, get stuck with, missing out the parentheses. Like Milton especially should do that because, all of the other guys, even Juliana, right, coming in from Python. If you're coming in from Python, you have to do this, right? It doesn't matter if you can already do it in Python. Just do it in C++, okay? Because it's just practice and it'll just get you in the swing and the mood of automatically doing these things. Right? That's all, right? So now we want to open and create a new file. We create a new file. Click on the one next to the new file, and call it frame sequence.txt, okay? And this is going to be super easy, right? And simple. Now in Reddit, actually, it's also going to be the fun part, okay? Yeah, here, put a plus, and then and then a couple of dashes, and then say frame sequence begins, whatever, right? Because that is, you can say whatever you want because it's a comment now. If it's a plus, it's only the first character matters for us, right? So you can say frame sequence begins, and then more plus, and then 3 more hyphens, and then a plus again. I think is that enough? We can actually get a bigger frame, right? So put more hyphens at the beginning and the end so that you get more rectangular, longer. More, even more. because this is going to be, we'll have a good animation here. All right, and then put and more on the other side too. Yeah, I see exactly the same. Right? Cool. Okay. All right. Okay. You have 2 pluses on this side and 1 plus on this side. So, all right. So now copy that line and put it below, right? The whole line and put it below, and then put a bunch of lines between the two. Put a bunch of lines between the two. All right. Now that link that I posted, I haven't looked at it in great detail, but I think it was basically a link with Stickman ASCII art for people doing these exercises, right? And we'll also go to YouTube and pick some nice YouTube videos for exercise that have not exercise, meaning not stretching. Well, let's go to that page. I think that has a much better idea. So go to Reddit, and go to that link I shared under Eric. So Eric shared something. What we code, yeah, and then this one. I did this was basically the first Google result, but maybe there are better sites that you can use. Okay, now further down, we'll actually see something doing is a bunch of stickmen doing. Oh yeah, this one, warming up. Let's take warming up. Okay, let's take warming up. In fact, copy the first guy from warming up. Oh, we can't do the first guy. We want a rectangle of just the first guy. Copy the whole thing and put it in a yeah. Copy the first whole thing. Copy the whole thing, and put it in a copy that and put it in your own file. In a different I'll put it there, we'll erase it later. Yeah. Now oh gee, it's like this. We want this. Yeah, we want the first guy only, and then we want the second guy only, and so on and so forth. But this guy, the first guy, we want repeated. The first guy we want repeated, like in the exercise, when you look through the glass doors on by the street, you see like 50 people in there doing exactly the same thing, like this, right? So I think we're going to try and do the same thing. Yeah, with an aisle between, you can say 4 and 4. Let them all be doing the same pose. Let them all be doing exactly the same pose, and then in the next frame, they're all going to be doing the next pose. Right, so you're going to have 8 frames in the first one. Right, get them all. You see the first guy, you need to have 4 of those guys next to each other. Exactly the first guy, 4 of those guys. Oops. How is it possible? Can you do rectangular copy and paste at all here?
I don't know how to do that.
All right, get rid of all of them except the first one. Yeah, get rid of all of them except the first one.
Yeah, I can recopy those.
I think that's the way to do it. Yeah, get rid of all of them except the first one. Now, well, we'll just do vertical. All right, but we'll do one person, okay? It's a challenge for you, extra credit for you, right? Make a movie with lots and lots of these people, right? In not just one, okay? We'll just do one. And move this guy to the middle. We'll just make him animate. Yeah, okay. And put some space above him too.
Yeah, sure.
I think that's better. How come it's different now? It's yeah. All right, and we don't need so many blank lines above and below, right? So I was thinking more of a gallery of people, but we don't need that. We'll do a simple movie, right? But extra credit for you guys to do it. All right, so now copy that whole frame and paste it underneath. That's your second frame now, right? And you don't need 2 of those lines, right? Only one, right? And then get rid of the blank lines. Yeah. No. All right. Now this post should be different. This should be the second post that you have in that thing.
Oh.
How do you get the second one? Is there an easy way at all to get a second one? Like you can actually just edit this guy to make it. I think it's easier to just edit this guy.
Yeah, that's probably a good idea. Oh
no, actually, I'll tell you what to do. Right, make his right arm horizontal. Make his right arm horizontal. There you go. Yeah, just make it a dash. Oh, it doesn't work. How did they do a vertical? Oh yeah, put a tilde. Put a tilde. Put a tilde. Oh, tilde's in the middle too. Put a caret. Put a caret sign. Oh, geez, I don't know how to make it horizontal now. How did they make it horizontal? Oh yeah, I think I know. Yeah. You use that's right. Use an underscore on the previous line. Underscore on the previous line makes it horizontal. And get rid of the space. No, so you got a space. You got a space. Get rid of the. I see. No, but you actually move the whole guy to the right. You want him to be exactly underneath. Otherwise, the animation won't be accurate. No, you missed the underscore.
Yeah, I know. I'm gonna move the
Put the
underscore.
underscore.
I'm just like
No,
getting
not
it
there.
back.
On the previous line. No, but underscore and then at sign. Underscore and then at. Underscore at. Okay, that's it. That's it.
And then delete
Yeah,
this.
and get rid of the angle arm. Okay, good. All right, okay, that right, and in the third frame, you want this guy with doing that up. All right, now make that go up.
This one or
Yeah, that one. Up. Yeah, okay. All right, great. Okay. Now, obviously, we're doing, a poor ass implementation here, but extra credit and fun for you guys too. You make a movie that, has much richer animation. I think it'll be fun. Okay. So the next frame should be coming back to horizontal again, right? Coming back to horizontal. So basically it's a dance, right? We're going to find a YouTube video or something like that, which has, one beat every second and a half, and this person is basically going to do bam 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 with the music, right? And we'll play the music in the background and have this program running, and you'll actually see the animation, or at least that's how it looks in my head. All right, so now do another frame sequence, right? Do another frame sequence, and then make
Professor,
yeah.
just to remind you, we're actually 6 minutes over the time right now.
Oh, we are. Okay. All right. I'm happy to stick around, right? But any of you who needs to go can go. But basically, this is what we're trying to do now, right? All we're trying to do is create this frame sequence, and this is ready to go. And you, after the frame sequence is done, you're going to run the movie, or you run the program, and it's going to pick up this, and it's going to show you the animation on screen. Every half a second, that person is going to move like that. And you got to find a YouTube video which has a beat every half a second, right? I'm pretty sure there's, what do they call it? Aerobic exercises or something like that, right? They have these music, these things playing in the background with the right kind of one every minute, a second or something like that, right? So find one of those videos, play it in the background, and when it's playing, start your program, and this guy will dance to that beat, because we're going to be timing it to every 45 seconds. Okay, and if you have time, you should actually do that. Maybe capture a video and share it too, right? We'll continue doing this, right? People who want to drop off should absolutely feel free to drop off, but before you go, take your time to fill in this questionnaire. Okay, so all right, now everyone in this meeting. Okay. All right, so fill in that questionnaire. Is about today, this week, basically. It's in a chat, and see what we can do to change things around next class. Okay, so next week we want to be doing more of objects and methods, and we'll start looking at slightly more sophisticated data structures. And also we'll do a bit more of a review of what we've done so far. Make sure that we all understand what's going on. Maybe we'll even play around with this program and create a movie, right? Or if someone has created a movie, or bunches of us have created movies, even movies that have co-producers, one person creating the animation, the other one working on the program to get the refined, or even selecting the audio. You can have title screens, all of that, right? See, the thing is, the ideas I'm tossing out basically mean that there's so much scope for you guys to just knock yourselves out. So you just need to get together on STEM Center, pick some time and say, hey, guys, let's make a movie, right? And one of you is going to find a YouTube track with beats every second and a half, and the other one is going to create the animations with stickman or whatever it is, right, which moves on every beat. And it could be a dance. It'll be a 10-second dance, just a 10-second dance. Yeah, and you have the animation and everything going. It'll actually be fun. We're going to try and do that today until the last person remains. Absolutely, right? But we're going to continue and do this. Right? So feel free, if you want to go, fill out the questionnaire and do it. And I'll see you next week. Okay, but hopefully you all got something useful out of today's class. Did you get something useful out of today's class? Yeah, but the thing is, you basically, when I ask you like that, you got to say yes to be polite to me. But really, the proof is in the pudding. Okay, so if you got something out of this, make something of it, right? Because just make it part of yourself and say, I'm going to do this, right? I'm going to take this program that we worked on in class and take that to the next level. Add your own flavor to it. Make your own dance. Make your own dance, right? 10-second dance and post it. Hey, and you say, hey, this is Juliana's dance. This is, Spencer's dance. And post, and you click on it and you get a stick man, you got, and you can also put a link saying, hey, while you click run, play this video, YouTube video in the background, right? So we click the YouTube video, have it have the sound playing, and then we look at your dance. And that'll be really fun, right? And if it's fun, you'll get extra credit for it too. So we're going to go ahead and do it now. All right, so now let's go back to the frame file. I think we'll just add a few more frames and then we'll run it. All right, so actually, you know what? Get rid of the blank line above and below, so that we'll get more of these people in. One more also. You can get rid of the one more blank line also. No blank lines at all. Yeah. All right. Okay, all right, frame sequence begins. All right, now this last guy shouldn't be having a horizontal hand. That guy should be having a hand pointing downwards, like, left, the first one. Yeah. There, okay. All right, now, if you want to do, anyone who wants to do more of this, all you have to do is just copy this and do the same thing with the right hand. And then both hands together. That's enough for, a 10-second movie. So all you have to do is take this, right? And do the same, but we'll run it just with the left hand, right? And so we can run it now. We can run the program now, and we should see an animation of this person. Oh, no, increase the size. There's a bug, okay? Now run again, stop it and run again. No, don't increase the size, increase the size, and then run it. Increase the size and then run it. No, increase the size of the console.
Oh. Hang on 1 second.
Oh, the console's gone completely now.
I don't know what the heck happened. Oh.
Now you can, run it again, run it again. No, I think you increased too much. Yeah, there you go. Stop it and run it. That plus, there is a bug in the program. The plus needs to be discarded. So let's go back to the program. That part is supposed to be discarded. And also something is going on there. I think there's a bug in the program. Stop it, go to the program. Oh, we're using the old main. We're still using the old main. Oh, wow. All right, okay. All right, okay. We got to change. Line 103 should be line 1. So what we want to do is on line 101, sorry, line 101, say vector of frames, not frame, vector of frames, vector angle bracket frames. No, for a frame, uppercase F, frame. And then, yeah. And then it's going to say my frames. And then this is going to be, it's going to be a frame, uppercase frame, on line 103, instead of my frame, say uppercase frame, double colon, load frame sequence from file. Load frame sequence from file. All right. And then get rid of the old function name. Now, this is how we call a static function. Okay, a static function that does not require an object. You just call it with a class name itself. Frame is the name of the class. Yeah, and it's going to load the frame sequence. And then the second parameter to that is going to be my frames. The second parameter is going to be my frames. The first is a file name, and the second is the name, is the vector of frames. No, the second parameter. The second parameter, yeah. After the, yeah, there you go. Thank you. Comma, space, and then my frames. Yeah, enter. All right. Now all you're going to do is show frame sequence at, show frame double colon on the next line. Say frame double colon, uppercase frame, yeah, colon, show frame sequence at, and then you're going to say 5,5, a comma, my frames. That's it. All right, and get rid of everything else except the return 0.
So get rid of this for statement.
Yeah, everything. All right. So is everybody okay with what we've done so far? Yeah.
Oh,
Oh, there's a compilation error.
yeah, it's just missing.
Oh, I see. What is the error? Undefined reference. Show frame sequence at. What is the name of the function? I think we got the name of function wrong. Go back to. What is show frame sequence at? What did we call it? What did we call it? We need to look at the name of the function in our. Show frame sequence at size tx, size ty, const vector. Right. So go back to the go back to the place where we call it. That looks correct to me. Hang on. Vector of frames. That looks correct to me. Why is it flagging it as an error? Vector of frame, my frames, and you're passing it. Oh, yeah. All right. So go to that function again. Go show frame sequence at. Just triple click that line. Let's take that whole thing. Yeah, paste it underneath so we can verify everything where it's being called. Right. Paste it there somewhere, and we're going to delete it afterwards. Right. Paste it. /tx, /ty. Oh, it's not. It's I see. Oh wow. Okay. Sure. Oh, it's not frame back. It is. Oh, it is. No, it's frame back. My frames is a vector of frames. Load it, and then 5,5 my frames. And it's and what was the error? We're gonna compile it again. Let me see what the error was. All right.
Now
Now we're getting a different one now.
well, it's
Yeah,
I
cannot.
think it's
Yeah, all right. No.
It's probably because I declared it down here too.
Oh, I see. Yeah, get rid of. Put a comment there. Put a comment in front of it. Right. Put a comment. Right. Run it. All right. Undefined reference to frame double colon show frame sequence in. It is a static function. We did define it. Oh, it says a standard vector. Well, that looks kind of fishy to me. That that error, it's a standard vector and then just a greater than const. Is that the way? Shouldn't it say standard vector of frames? Is that not what we're using? Vector of frame, my frames. All right, okay. Angelos, thank you. How about this, Raj? Okay. So let me take a look at this and I'll share
I
on
just
the
posted
Reddit.
in the Reddit.
Yeah, but post it in the Reddit and say there's a compilation error, and the professor said he'll take a look at what it is and share it on the Reddit, because there's nobody here, and it's let me take a closer look at it tomorrow morning.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah?
Sounds. Yep.
Why is it that's really strange. Yeah, share it right away. So I'm actually curious. I'll take a look later today.
This is stupid. I logged in with the wrong account. Okay. All right. Well, I'll post it.
Thank you. Right. Yeah. Right. I'll try it out later. Very curious to know what the hell is going on. So it's very simple. It's maybe to do with the static declaration that I've actually done.
Sounds good. Okay.
Thank you. Thank you all. Thank you, Raj.
Yep.
Thank you, Hal, for sticking around. and for coding last time. And Raj, thank you for coding. And
course.
Tuesday we'll try and do more stuff.
Sure. Yeah. sounds
Bye.
good. Bye.